Hi, it's Blister Guy from Walk to Work, a mobile hustler and podcast. Leaving the train station and heading home from work. It's raining way too much to play Hearthstone, so let's listen to Concede.
Greetings.
Hello.
Greet.
My greetings.
Well met.
I greet you.
Greetings, traveler.
Greetings, friend.
The pleasure is mine.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 106 of Concede, which is a Hearthstone podcast dedicated to making the competitive side of the game more accessible to you. I'm going to mess that up every so often, but it happens. So my name is Kenny. I go by KCCO Gamer, and all the way from Thunder Bluff, Louisiana, we have Cinder.
That's me.
And joining us from Gadget Zan, New York, we have Ridiculous Hat.
That's me.
And from Orgrimmar, Illinois, we have Cora.
That's me.
The Fantastic Four, we're back.
Getting the band back together.
Recording on a
any
Thursday.
Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah.
I wouldn't watch them.
I wouldn't, I don't think I'd willingly be a part of any of those films, but...
I don't know if the stars were willingly a part of those films.
That's true. 2 words,
Mail.
contractually obliged.
I mean... 4 words, dump truck full of money.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how Hollywood works.
I counted the words, it's 4.
Fantastic Four. Sorry for the sidetrack there. All right, so regarding this, if you are listening, it happens. We gotta keep trying. They may not all succeed, but hey. So Concede is in support by a large part by you, the listener. So if you'd like to find out how you can support us, definitely go check us out on patreon.com/CoinConcede and help us out there too. Or like we're going to talk about later, you can leave a review. We didn't receive any this week. Heads up. So I'll remind you now and later to do that.
That's a first, man. It's been a while.
So let's talk about our ladder this week. I'm going to start with Cora.
Okay. I'm currently sitting around rank 7. I streamed today and messed around with various types of warlocks, a standard control warlock, a Kazakus cruel demon warlock, and Zoo, and none of them were doing very well, so I played shaman. And it worked.
There you go. All right, and Hat, what about you?
So, I am still in pursuit of the Golden Anduin. This season has proven to be a little bit more painful than the last one. I think the meta has reacted pretty well to Priest. And so I've tried a bunch of different builds. A friend of mine, Nicotine Jones, who I played with years ago, played Magic, and he is a deck builder. He hit Legend on the 7th with Keleseth Priest. That is Keleseth Razakus. It is... basically every high roll card in the format. There's Keleseth, there's Southsea Captain to get a patches, and then when you do Keleseth into Southsea Captain, into Kazakus, into Raza, into Coin Anduin on 7, your opponent doesn't know what happened, but they know it wasn't good for them. It was interesting. I couldn't get it to work the same way that he did, but it still seems decent. Then I tried some Big Priest. I tried Pheno's list of Priest that was, it plays Gadgets and Auctioneer instead of Lyra, which is pretty cool. So... tried a bunch of different stuff. I'm hovering around rank 7 right now. I usually like to be a little higher than this at this point in the month, but I haven't been as attentive as I would have liked to the ladder, so I'm hoping to get back on track, and I will be streaming tonight after Concede, so hopefully we have some success there.
All right, and Cinder, what about you?
I got up to rank 6 just today. Got about a rank a day since last week. Mostly Zoolock, but a little bit of Elemental Rogue and Aggro Paladin mixed in. Man, that Aggro Paladin is something else. If you haven't tried it and you just want to be able to do an ungodly amount of damage from out of nowhere, try Aggro Paladin. It's a lot of fun. And then you just Divine Favor / Small Time Recruits and draw a bunch of Keleseth minions and dump them back on the board. It's pretty rude, actually. It's a lot of fun.
Sounds kind of gross.
Brings me back in the day. I loved aggro paladin. That's partly why I got paladin so quick with golden. So me, I actually hit rank 5 on Monday. Pretty early in the season for me. Yeah, so I've been working with Rayana Prime, trying to go back and forth and see who can get to legend first. At least this is a competition I set for myself. I know he will make it, but I'm trying to stick with him.
Yeah, he's gonna get there. Turns out he's real good at wild.
Yep, he was top
real
50
good.
last month.
Wow,
for sure.
Impressive.
I think you can just say he's real good, period.
He's just, I mean, I'm sure it translates to standard too, but man loves his wild format.
Yes.
And why not? I love wild too.
With good reason. Wild's so fun.
So after I reached rank 5, I started playing last night. I think I played a total of 35 games. I think I was 11 wins. No, 12 wins and 23 losses. So it was a really bad rank 5 start. But on the way home, I played 3 games and I won all 3. So I'm at 5 stars. So
nice.
Yeah, 5 stars at rank 5. I'm okay with that. I didn't have much time. I just crashed as soon as I got home. Until you guys ended up calling me and say, "Hey, we have a show."
Wouldn't be a show without you, either sleeping or having dinner through the first 5 minutes.
Yes, I may have some of it during your your little segment here. So.
Oh, you know what? Speaking of not being a show without X, Dogpocalypse did just happen, but it was outside and nobody could hear it for once.
Oh wow! Nice.
Yeah,
Dogpocalypse.
So it still is a Coin Concede episode. We did have Dogpocalypse. I apologize for it not being audible to the listeners.
All right, I'll start. Go ahead.
It's weird that an audio producer apologizes for the lack of external noise. That's a new one.
You should thank yourself.
It's just become part of the show, the texture of the show.
Breaking the fourth wall. There we go.
If there isn't Cora keyboard noises or Cinder Dog noises, is it really a Coin Concede episode?
No.
It can be.
Yeah, I guess.
All right, let's keep it rolling here. Coachings. I got to coach SCT Forever. He wanted to learn about aggro or Zulok. So that was really fun. I never got to really do too much aggro type. And yeah, I know that stands for StarCraft 2 Forever. We got to talking about that for a while. Ben, he's writing some notations here as I'm going over the coachings. But yeah, he got to take some notes. It was his first coaching. It was really nice. And yeah, I'll get to some more coachings. I had to reschedule one, but there we go. Got lots of games in because they're quick. So he took a lot of notes. It was good. Cinder.
I have all my requests are scheduled. They're all going to happen next week. And in fact, Sir Slips and I are going to hang out right after we finish recording this episode. Probably going to do some Dude Pally in Wild, because why not?
All right. And Hat?
I have scheduled all of my 16 requests this month, and I think I did 3 before my trip on Thursday. I've got another few scheduled for this weekend. And, yeah. And looking forward to that, as always.
Yep. Alrighty. So I'm looking forward to some of our other ones. I have something to tell you guys afterwards. But let's talk about some of our new pledges. So I don't know if I'm pronouncing it this week, but right this week. But the first one is Karova. Is that how you pronounce it?
That's right.
I've always pronounced it
Karova?
in my head.
All right. And also Justin J. Thank you so much for supporting our show. We appreciate it. Glad to have some more people. Actually, I just noticed this in our Discord. I got to change someone's roles, so I'll get back to it after the show. But yeah. All right. Cinder, can you tell us a little bit about Listener League? And just to catch us up.
Yeah.
I think there were a couple things we wanted to cover too, because there were some questions going on. So.
Yes, a few questions happened during the course of the week. I felt like we could I answered them, of course, in the Discord, but also to answer them on the air in case anyone is listening and is also wondering. So to cover those really quick, the question, Do we submit deck lists or classes each week? No, you do not. It's going to be a secret. It's a secret to everyone. Can we change deck lists and classes between rounds? Yes, you can. So you are not fixed with the classes you played in your first match. You can change it up. Doesn't matter. Just as long as everything stays the same inside that one match, right? So match 1, you play 3 classes. Match 2, you play 3 more. It's fine. But how can I play a match if I don't know my opponent's classes or lists? Okay. This is for fun. It's not competitive. We're just here to have a good time and meet our fellow listeners. So don't sweat it. Just bring decks and play games. That's all you got to do. I promise. Do the rounds from each week need to be reported in a particular order? No, they do not. I know it might seem weird, but I'm just going to, if it doesn't work on Battlefy, I'll make it work because I'm an admin and I have that power and I will abuse it if need be. Will all future Coin Concede tournaments have gender requirements? No, this is something we wanted to do this time because we talked about it and we wanted to be proactive about the very issue that we discussed previously. So for now, this is just a singular thing, but we may do something similar in the future, but it will not be for every single event. And then a larger question that I wanted to answer is, we got a couple of these. For the most part, response has been incredibly positive. I've had a couple of people say that they weren't sure they could participate because they didn't know any women that played the game. So they were feeling excluded, right? Well, then how am I supposed to play this tournament? Well, what we're trying to do with this tournament is proactively invite women into the space. So if you don't know any, go meet some, go recruit some. Like, you don't know any women in real life, go, log into chat rooms and Discords, hang out in other Twitch channels and say, hey, there's this tournament and I just need a woman to join me. Anybody interested? That's the whole point. The whole point is we're trying to get more women into the space. So take that energy that you have worrying about not being able to play and go make it so that you can play by getting a woman on your team. It's as simple as that. Now, if you are feeling excluded because of your gender, congratulations. This is kind of the point. You're experiencing what every woman feels when they attempt to enter online spaces and competitive gaming spaces. Men already have all men Hearthstone tournaments. They're called Hearthstone tournaments. The HCT has been on circuit for 3 years, and this is the first time this week that a woman is in a championship round. So until that changes, we as a community need to be proactive in including women in the spaces and start making that slow, progressive change towards equality. So if you're one of those folks that was worried that you can't play, make it so that you can play. Go find a teammate and join this league. Because I tell you what, it's filling up fast. Like, I was surprised to see how many teams were already signed up, and I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, and I don't want people to think that it's really super competitive too. This one is going to be more fun because there is no pressure. I mean, there may be, this is a first experience for some women who may be asked to be a part of this. So we don't want to make it a bad experience the first time they're being involved with something like this. So it's not going to be super competitive. Yeah, but it's more fun.
It's something that when we had Taylor on, she expressed this very thing. She's an excellent player, but she doesn't feel welcome inside of these hyper competitive male dominated spaces. And we asked her the question: if there was a woman only or a woman inclusive tournament, would you play it? And she said, hell yeah, because she would feel welcome there and not an outsider looking in. And that's what we're trying to create.
She is playing, right?
She better be.
Yeah, I hope she is.
I hope so. We have to go kick some butts if she's not on the list.
Yeah. Cora, you want to say anything about this? I want to include your thoughts too.
It's an issue that I get asked my opinion on a lot, and I generally just say, for women only tournaments, at least, it's not something that should be necessary, but for right now, it is necessary, and I think that this is sort of the happy medium, to be perfectly honest. I wasn't actually involved in the making of this incentive, but I absolutely think it's phenomenal. I think that Hearthstone is a game that is built to be accessible to everyone. And you know a woman somewhere in your life, whether it's your sister, your mom, a friend, or somebody that you just are in class with. Like, there are women out there who love to game, who maybe just haven't found the game yet or don't feel welcome. Go find them. Go encourage them. Go bring them in. Have some fun. Meet some new people. That's what Hearthstone's about. And it's sad that there are people that feel like they can't accomplish this small task.
Yeah. And for those that are, I'll use this as an example. I'll put Botticus on the chopping block here. So Botticus actually got his significant other on and included with this as well, I assume. So
Yes.
if you are actually with someone who doesn't play very often and you want to kind of show them what you're doing or what it's like, just like as something to just do it this time, and you, I mean, you don't have to do it anytime going forward, but this is what it's like, and that way they can kind of you're including them in what you do. So that may be an option too if you have a significant other. So
Just share what
sibling.
you love with them.
yeah, sibling too. So shall we? Hat, you want to add anything to?
I invited my girlfriend to the Coin Concede Discord, and regretting is the wrong word, but she is a little bit more well-connected now than I was planning on, and I'm not really sure how to proceed with my life. But
Yeah,
But
she
she got-
suddenly became a superstar, man.
yeah, but she got signed to a team very quickly with two excellent players and good people, and I am
Good.
looking forward to her participation, though I am questionable about the impact in my life her connection with my hobby this close will have, because she's going to suddenly be way more well informed than she was before, and she already knew a lot.
So I decided to just pull up the tournament page real quick just to step on Kenny's toes as he was about to say something. There are 11 teams currently registered, 9 registered, 2 pending. That's a lot of teams, y'all. That's 33 people that have already jumped in, and we're not starting until this weekend. And I think by far my favorite right now is the Hungry Crabs, composed of Roncolloid, Risen, and Switters. That's like some THL crossover shenanigans.
A hungry
Yeah,
crab.
that's a
I
squad.
love it.
Well, and I gave Ronka coaching on Conquest lineups, and we practiced, and we said, okay, so if someone's bringing Paladin and THL, they're playing Control Paladin or put Hungry Crab in all your decks. And last week she put Hungry Crab in all her decks and chewed up someone's tournament week.
That was my people, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, got chewed
That
up.
was us. That was Prep Coin Concede that she did that to.
Oh, she did that
Oh.
to you.
Us. We were the victims.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Were
We
you
got high rolled pretty bad.
were you crabby?
We were pretty. I was fine with it. I was happy about it.
Yeah.
My teammates were a little crabby about it.
I'd be a bit
All right.
crabby.
All right, this is a pretty decent intro here. Let's get to the news. All right, so a couple things we wanted to talk about this week. So Twitch Prime gets a golden pack this next month. So if you want to check that out, that means it's a gold. Every card in that pack is golden. Who knew? Who would have thunk? Hat, are you going to be dusting all your goldens, or are you going to be keeping them?
I love gold. Like, there was a point where I needed the cards, and so I dusted the goldens, and I did it because I'd rather have more decks playable. But now that I don't have to do that as much, I go for as many goldens as I can. I'm really excited for the... Did we do the math before the show? What's the golden equivalent to 40 dust? 160 dust?
I believe it is 160 dust.
I'm
Yes.
really excited for the 160 dust. Slash.
There you
Heck
go.
yeah.
Yeah.
The
And I think-
value.
I think the card pack, the image is going to be gold for any packs you open before November 8th, or between November 8th and January 9th. I think that has to do with after BlizzCon. So that seems cool. I'm excited for what they may be announcing there.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, so Twitch Prime gold pack. There you go. All right, so I didn't really, obviously this kind of came out while I was sleeping, but there was also what we're calling the stack. Cinder, do you want to talk about this for a little bit, or do you want to pass it to someone else?
I'm gonna give it to Hat / Cora because They have also played lots of Cardboard Crack and know this idea pretty well.
We do. All right. This is
Yeah.
This is complex, and we're going to explain this as simply as possible. But the real answer here is this is an incredibly deep nuts and bolts post into how Hearthstone works. I recommend reading it if you have familiarity with the game and you feel comfortable about your understanding. And if you don't, back away from this one. It's a jungle out there. It goes into glossaries, triggers, zones, sequences, events. There's a ton of technical language here. But the important thing to take out of this is that the devs are looking to make the game more consistent. And in order to do that, what they have done is they have introduced something called a validation step. And what this means, this is the shortest sentence we can give to explain the changes, is that if a trigger is going to happen, it's going to check to see if it should have happened first. And that means, was I around when the thing that prompted this trigger should have happened? The example that we talked about in the pre-show, what used to happen is that if you have a Mad Scientist, 2 mana 2/2, when it dies, get a secret out of your deck. And your opponent plays Stampeding Kodo, which 5 mana 3/5, kill an opposing minion with a random enemy minion with power 2 or less. It would kill your Mad Scientist. If your Mad Scientist got Mirror Entity, then the Mirror Entity would trigger on the Stampeding Kodo. Very strange interaction. What it's going to do now is it's going to say, hey, this Mirror Entity, it's going to look around and say, oh, I'm supposed to copy that Kodo. Wait a second. Was I around when that Kodo got played? No, I'm not going to trigger. And it backs off. And then the Mirror Entity stays in play, and it waits for the next minion to trigger. It makes a little bit more sense. What was the other logic? Oh, yeah, Core was talking about Evolve and Wild Pyromancer. What would happen is you would evolve a bunch of stuff, and if you got a Wild Pyromancer after the Evolve, the Wild Pyro would say, oh, hey, there was an Evolve played, that's a spell, I'm going to go ahead and do 1 damage to all of your stuff. But what it's going to do now is say, Wild Pyro is going to look around and say, oh, wait, a spell was triggered, wait a minute. Was I around when Evolve was played? No, I'm not going to trigger. It's this validation step that just kind of makes more sense and deals with all these corner cases that experienced Hearthstone players were used to, but weren't necessarily the most logical situations.
I was going to mention the Evolve. What's the
Unlicensed Apothecary?
Yeah, where you end up killing yourself.
It will finally not exist. Yes, with Evolve and with Thrall Deathseer, that will be resolved. There was another one that they talked about in there that I experienced a lot. I don't know if you guys remember the card Ginny of Zephyrs. It was whenever you cast a spell on a friendly minion, cast an additional copy onto the Ginny of Zephyrs. There's a 5 mana 4/6, I think. 6 mana 4/6. Anyway, when you used to play it and then cast Entomb on an opponent's minion, it used to then return the Ginny of Zephyrs back to your deck. Because you cast Entomb, the minion goes into your deck, and then it recognizes it as a friendly minion, and then says, okay, you casted a spell on this friendly minion, now cast it on your Ginny of Zephyrs and put it into your deck. Now, this will not resolve that way. You'll cast Entomb on the minion, it'll put it in your deck, and then there will be a validation check to say, was this a friendly minion when you casted Entomb on it? It'll say, no, it was not, therefore the Ginny of Zephyrs will remain on the board.
And I think they also did the video too, and they did in the video. It was what was the 3/5 spell after you play a spell that summons a 1/1. I forget the name, but what happens is they played a
no. Oh, a Violet Teacher.
Violet Teacher.
Yeah.
And then they used the example where over that they played. Oh gosh, what's it called? They played something where it summoned a Wild Pyromancer. Well, as the card reads, Wild Pyromancer says after you cast a spell, so you cast a spell and it summoned the Wild Pyromancer. It then says deal 1 damage to all minions. So get rid of all the minions you just summoned with the spells that you casted. So kind of the same thing. But sorry, you were going to say, Cinder.
I hope this also I don't know if it will be a fix, but I hope that it stops the unlicensed apothecary from triggering when Cruel dumps your hand of demon real fast with the Kazakhstan block.
Because it wasn't there when you.
But yeah, it was still in your hand when you played Cruel. So yeah, hopefully that's fixed because that was like
That they
one of
all
the
come out at the same time. 'Cause
yes.
I actually ran into that today where I picked 2 demons off of Kazakus, got Unlicensed Apothecary and like Voidwalker, and I was like, okay, I could Cruel these out, but I don't know if I'll die. So
You would die.
Although
I'm just not gonna do it.
although you
The
know
same
that
thing
you
with
played
Gul'dan.
it, and if it died during the game, it makes you think, would you want to play it then? Because you know that. So I don't know. That'd be interesting to see if that gets fixed. Can you let us know?
I would hope so. Yeah, I'll try it after the patch and see for sure.
All right. Next part here we have BlizzCon. So there's an in-game bonus item that's been announced for basically the different games that Blizzard produces, but they didn't really announce Hearthstones. They announced it, but they didn't announce it. It's a mystery goodie, and it says arriving after BlizzCon. So, what do you guys think? They show a picture of a golden legendary.
It's got to be a new one. It's got to be, right?
I just hope it's not a unique promotional card that you can't get unless you were there, because I mean, hopefully it's
You're
at
talking
least
about,
dustable.
Like the beta, what was it?
ETC.
Yeah,
Yeah,
ETC and the
ETC. If Elite Tour and Chieftain came from some event, and then if you tested the store during the beta, you got
Gelbin
Mechatork,
Mechatork.
which I actually have. But those were at least cards you could have crafted. So as long as it's something you can craft, I'm fine. But I would also be perfectly fine with just a random legendary that you don't have. That would be great.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Would you then buy the virtual ticket then, Cinder? If you do that.
I think I would have to play more Blizzard games to make it worthwhile. But Mrs. Ascendant definitely likes the BlizzCon, and she has bought the virtual ticket before, so she might just do it anyway, and reap the benefits because she'll get the mount and Warcrafts and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
she plays
She'll
WoW,
use it.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy crap!
Okay, well then.
Does she play WoW?
I knew she
yeah.
was a fan of lore, so I figured she should.
Sheesh.
If I don't end up last minute going, I will absolutely buy the virtual ticket. For sure.
29 for sure. All right.
29
So
for sure.
the last part here is we saved it for last because it kind of goes into the event that I'll be doing at BlizzCon. But there's a new Warlock hero that we'll be getting.
Yeah.
I'm super excited.
She's QT.
So, Cora, you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so her name is Nemsi Necrofizzle, and she's the new Warlock alternate hero. The first time Warlock will have an alternate hero. And essentially, she will be available forever, I believe, but she will only be available through participation in a fireside gathering at a tavern. So whether you've been to a fireside gathering before or you have not been, it should be equal opportunity Nemsi Necrofizzle for everybody attending. And Kenny, you said you'll be working on that event at BlizzCon.
Yeah, so Con Before the Storm is actually an event where it's like many different things. Like I think they said there were over 40 different podcasts that are going to be included with this.
Ooh.
So, yeah, I think with our panel, the Hearthstone panel, it'll be 6 of us. But back to this, that event, and they announced it this week, that event is going to be included as a fireside gathering. So all of those that are in attendance that night, it will include this new Warlock hero because you'll be able to be a part of the fireside gathering. So I'm really
That's pretty
excited.
awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's really great.
Making it very accessible, and that was they were trying hard to work with Blizzard to make sure that this would be a legitimate quote unquote fireside gathering. So
That
so
image is really cool. It looks really good.
Yeah, she's supposed.
Oh, Kenny died.
Is he back?
Oh, he's back. He's back.
I'm back. I've always.
Oh no.
Guess who's back? Back. No, okay.
It only comes back when he raps. Kenny, don't stop rapping.
Can you write the rest of the show?
Kenny, stop rapping.
All right.
Aw.
Well,
So I put together this little thing here. I know that some of you may have some questions. So needless to say that there is a fireside gathering, I'd like to make sure that it's a little bit clear on how everything works out. So we'll be making sure that Nemzi Necrofizzle will be a part of your heroes here. So any questions you guys want to ask?
Not a question, but I do want to note, like, at first I was kind of upset that this is not a character from Warcraft lore, but turns out that she is actually a specific known character. If you look closely at the Fen Creeper, and then later its bigger brother, the Bog Creeper, that tiny little gnome with big old glasses fishing in the muddy waters and luring along the Fen Creeper, that's Nimsy. So she's going to be the Warlock hero. I think that's awesome.
Yep.
I'm so excited.
At first, I was afraid. I was petrified.
Stop it.
Right.
You got the bumper. Wow.
Yeah. It'll happen.
So I guess I'll start with some of these questions and I'll answer them. So some of the people have been asking, do you have to register at this event for Con Before the Storm? The answer is no. There is no registration required. Just show up and be a part of it. Do we have to be there at 4 p.m. when the fireside starts? No, you do not. The fireside gathering at the Con Before the Storm is actually scheduled from 4 p.m. to 2 a.m., which will be plenty of time for anyone who's willing to participate. And the play format, the style is casual play. So they're saying we'll be enjoying the benefits of a fireside gathering while also being at Con Before the Storm. So at least there will be fireside brawls you can be a part of where you can earn Nemzi. And there's no tournament scheduled or anything like that. And then also, the last question here is that how do I participate in this awesome fireside gathering that you amazing people are putting on? Well, number one, turn on your location services on your phone or your device that is part of your app. Turn on the Wi-Fi on your phone or the device, whether it's a mobile. What do you call it? I want to call it iPad, but it's a tablet. It could be any tablet.
Yeah.
And then number 3, launch Hearthstone. So if it doesn't automatically find it, you can ask it. If you pull up the list of friends that you have, there's a little lantern there you can click on.
Yeah.
That will scan for local ones. So also those of us that are going to be there, it's actually going to be off the top of my head, I don't have it pulled up. It's going to be me, Garrett Winezero's from the Angry Chicken. He's going to be heading it. So it'll be kind of like the main host guy between all of us. It's going to be Chris from 1600 Dust. It's going to be Not Rob from
Balance
Chosen. Oh my God! See, this is where I'm getting in trouble. We're trying to remember all the names.
Alec Dawson
Alex
from Golden
from-
Wisp and John Horstman from Wilmette. It's
There we
on
go.
the screen.
Good
I
reading.
don't have
Cora.
it pulled up. I don't have it pulled
Thanks.
up. In fact, when I have it pulled up and I'm in Twitch, it's delayed. I'm still seeing.
Gotcha.
So Coin Concede is supported in a large part by you. That's where
You
I
are
see.
way delayed.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, that's a sick graphic. So, and you look real dapper, Kenny.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We discussed it. That's a boutonniere, not a corsage, by the way. So for anyone wondering, he's wearing a boutonniere.
There you go.
Also a suit.
All right, so that pretty much does it for the news and for the Con Before the Storm. I hope if you are there, you come say hi. Hat's going to be there.
Yay.
Appa, I think, is going to be trying to do a meetup. I know last I heard he was. I haven't been able to get a hold of him recently to check, but
If I end up last minute coming to BlizzCon, I'll try to be there.
and I
We'll
know Racy will be there too. I know because I just got him the ticket for the DreamHack Denver, so he'll be there. I'm excited to hang out with everybody. Please come say hi. Please, please, please. We'd like to get to know you and put a face to the name. So I'm done talking.
Is it my turn?
It's your turn.
Okay. There we go. So we're winding down the tournament season for Hearthstone for 2017. So no results. So I wanted to take just a second to kind of do a little in-depth preview of the summer championships. So let's just jump right into it. First, let's go over the groups and see what you guys have to think about this. So each group is one representative from each region. So Americas, Europe, Asia Pacific, and China. And Group A is Trunks, Old Boy, Nalgaiden, and Tom60229. Group B is Purple, Ouya, Amix, and Jason Zhou. Group C is Surrender, Yetears, Omega Zero, and Orange. And Group D is Pavel, Baiza, Coco Sasa, and Empanizado. So, Cora, you've casted a few events in the recent past, including some of these competitors. So I am really curious, what any of these groups standing out to you as like the group of death, or maybe just an automatic win for anybody? What do you think?
So I think everybody is sort of in consensus that Group C is crazy good. Orange, Surrender, Omega Zero, incredible players, Yetears as well. This is a stacked group for sure. There's definitely some question marks around players like Baiza, Coco Sasa, and Panizado, who before this was just on the HGG team for Mexico and didn't have a lot of real results. Group A, I think, as well, is very good. I'm a big fan of Nalgidan. I think he's a great player. Everybody knows that Tom is an out-of-his-mind Hearthstone player, just wins absolutely everything. And Trunks as well. We've seen quite a few times. And then Purple and Jason Zhou in Group B, but I'll be honest, I don't know much about Ouya and Amix. So I think Group C is probably the most solid, and then I'd go with Group A after that.
Even Yetears agrees that this is a group of death because he's very confident he's the one who's going to die. After these
I don't want to say it, but yeah.
Well, I mean, he said it, so I think I'm fine with it. Amix is pretty new to the scene. Ouya, I don't know well, but he's also in the Japanese scene, and the Japanese scene is fairly self-contained, but it's growing at an amazing pace. So we'll see. I mean, they didn't get there by accident. They certainly got there through hard work and skilled play. So I'm sure they'll bring at least some competition. But yeah, like having Purple and Jason Zhou in your group, that's got to be intimidating. Hat, what do you think about these groups, man?
Group C is the group of death. It's not even close. Group A is close behind, but the average quality of player in Group C, when Yetears is your worst player, that says a lot. Other than that, I actually picked Ouya as my champion for silly reasons, but because I think that Warlock is the best fourth class over Priest, Rogue, and Druid, because he doesn't play Curious Glimmerroot in his Priest, which I think is the right way to go, because I think Glimmerroot is poo. You want more of your own cards, you don't want somebody else's. And, there's Cairn in both the Rogue and the Warlock. And Cairn has been extremely potent against Priests, right?
Yes.
You don't want to run out of steam. Cairn is really good at staying on the board and just keeping consistent pressure on. And so there's two Cairns, no roots, and I just like the direction that the deck is built in. And the Jade Druid is interesting because there's a little Alex Draza in there. I think Alex is when everyone's playing a super greedy list, you want to be the greediest, and Alex seems to be a good way of dealing with that.
Yeah, for sure. And for those of you who are purely podcast audio listeners, I want you to know that missing the live content on Twitch, you get to miss Cora mugging the heck out of Sage as he wandered into the room.
I thought my door was locked. And it opens up, and he's standing there like giving me
Cora,
eyes, and I'm like, Sage, I can't say anything. I'm doing a podcast, and he just gave me the nod, and then he left.
It was extremely difficult to talk about Karen Bloodhoof while you were making the faces. No, don't be. I'm happier for it.
I was tempted to be like, just come sit, but he dipped. He's gone.
Yeah.
Never to return.
Kenny is eating, so I'm not gonna call on him. Hat, who was your champion for Choose Your Champion?
Ouya still.
Oh yes, you said that. Ouya. Sorry.
It's pretty close. I think there are a bunch of good choices to be had here. I think my second choice would have been a color. I'm not sure which color, but either purple or orange. But I also didn't want to just pick purple because he was the only North American English-speaking player I knew. He's really, really good. Orange is also really good and also a super nice person, so I was tempted to pick him for that as well. But Ouya's lineup was the one that I liked the most.
Fair. Cora, who is your champion?
All right. So I was also deciding between the colors. And it turns out that I procrastinated so much that when I went on about an hour ago to try to choose my champion, because I finally decided which color I wanted, it was already closed.
Oh,
So
no.
I don't actually have a champion this time around, but I would have picked orange. He's a really nice guy. He's a great player. Even though I like purple more than I like orange, orange is also festive for this time of year. So yeah, I would have gone with orange, but now I guess I just get 0 packs.
You know, and I also like Orange as a person just because he's kind of a great role model of sorts for people with like really bad social anxiety, because he struggles a lot with it and still manages to be a top Hearthstone competitor. And I got a lot of respect for him for that, because it's hard.
Yeah,
I know.
He to me is a great representative of started from the bottom. Now he's here. Like nobody knew who he was until he won. I believe it was DreamHack Winter a couple of years ago, and now he's done incredible things with his career. So I really respect him for that reason.
Word.
Yeah.
And for me, my pick, I think I may have mentioned it, but I have gone with Tom 60229. My heart is with Biza, but my brain went for Tom.
My heart was with Biza too.
Yeah, for real.
My brain
I hope
picked nobody.
I hope she goes all the way, but I did a simulation, and for reasons I will talk about shortly, I think Tom is onto something. And by my numbers, he has the best chances to get at least high in the bracket, if not all the way to the top. In fact, Ant put together a mock HCT with all of them, and they just did the whole thing by themselves, and Tom won. So
yeah, he had 16 people come on, and each take the lineup of one of the people that are playing this weekend, and yeah, Tom's lineup won. I don't remember who was piloting Tom's lineup though.
Yeah, but
I
had some. I think it was Mad at Arms. Maybe was playing the Highlander Mage in our Discord, and actually said it was really good. So I'm curious. Kenny looks to be done eating. Kenny, who is your champion?
So I was the same as Cora. I actually procrastinated so much that I didn't pick one. So I don't know who I would have picked, and that's part of the reason why I was procrastinating, because I wanted to do a little bit of research on it, but I didn't get around to it. Yeah.
Shame. So let's actually
for us.
No packs for you guys. Let's actually talk about those deck lists a little bit. So just kind of tournament wide here first. Everyone, all 16 players, took Highlander Priest. No surprise. It's super good. Doesn't have a lot of weaknesses. Can high roll the crap out of everything. Everybody took it. 14 of the 16 competitors took Jade Druid, and one more took Aggro Druid. That was Omega Zero. So 15 out of 16 have Druid as a class. And then of those 16 players that have those two classes, there are 10 total players who have Highlander Priest, Jade Druid, and Tempo Rogue as the third deck. And if you want to count Omega Zero as Aggro Druid, he's technically the 11th player. So that's a lot of people with the very similar first three decks. And then that fourth deck is kind of like the flex slot, so to speak. There's, let's see, eight of those players opted for a very aggressive archetype as its fourth. Evolved Shaman being picked 4 times, and Murloc and Aggro Paladin being picked 3 times. So obviously that seems to be the magic mix for most people here. Jade Druid, Highlander Priest, Tempo Rogue, and one aggressive deck. That's more than half of the lineups are exactly that. But not all lineups are like that. There are some really unique lineups in this event. And I'm going to call, the first one I'm going to call on is Biza. She completely opted out of Druid, and she has instead Highlander Priest, Tempo Rogue, which is fine, Evolved Shaman, and Zulok. And while that is still a good lineup of decks, it's a very aggressive lineup. Her Shaman list is really unusual. You've got to check this out. She drops a Manatide Totem for a Cult Master, and included elsewhere in the deck are 2 Master of Evolution. If you don't remember what that is, it's the 4-mana 4/5 from Wrath of the Old Gods that you target a friendly minion and it randomly evolves into something 1 more. It's almost, I don't think it's ever seen play in competitive environments, and she apparently thinks it's good. And then she also includes Prince Taldaram. That's the 3-drop, the 3-mana 3/3 that copies something. It's like a little mini faceless manipulator. So she apparently thinks that there's something to this deck. And a lot of people initially were like, this is a meme, right? This is a joke." Well, I've been talking to a couple of people who've been trying it, including our friend of the show, Gia, the caster in the Asia Pacific region. And according to her, this deck is actually super legit, and it's been doing work on ladder for those people who have been trying this to see what happens here. I think Hat stepped out. Cora, have you ever seen anything like this before?
I have not seen anything like this. I have played with Master of Evolution quite a bit, but it's only ever really in Arena. It's a great card. Like, don't get me wrong, Master of Evolution, by all means, is a Chillwind Yeti with that Evolution Battlecry, and that's sweet. It's a really good card. And Cult Master in Shaman works very well, especially if you build up a large token board, get down Flame Tongue Totem, you can trade everything off, you can draw an absurd amount of cards. But Prince Taldaram, I disenchanted him for Prince Keleseth. I don't know what to tell you there. So I'm not entirely sure how it'll work out, but I get what she was going for, and I don't hate it. I like seeing players explore unexplored territory when like really high stakes are up and coming. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, and I can understand anybody's hesitance to do so. We all remember Hot Meowth taking the Giants Warrior to championships.
Don't pull a Hot Meowth.
Don't pull
Hot Meowth still regrets that.
It still is an evolved shaman. It just has some very particular tech choices.
It doesn't have the DK, does it?
I don't have the list.
It does.
Oh,
Yeah.
it does?
I would assume that
so
it
it has
does,
another way of evolving then.
What-
Yeah,
So
it has
instead of
some
just
looking-
zero power.
What are you looking to copy with Taldaram is
I was actually going
what
to ask
I
Hat that
don't
exact question.
understand.
So
That's what I can't figure out.
I think, well, so think about it, right? If Flame Tongue Totem and Primal Fin Totem were 3/3s, they'd be better. They'd be better than
amazing.
if they were 0/3s. You can copy. I think those are probably the key targets that I see. It's also a 3-mana 3/3. I don't really see a lot of value in copying most things in this deck now. Look at it, except for Cult Master would draw you a lot of cards.
yeah.
If you copy Doppelgangster, I think you get to keep it as a 5-drop, which is unexciting. And this deck is also interesting in that it doesn't play Think from Below.
Well, I think that's because she dropped the Manatide totems.
It's true. Yeah, she has less totems. It's got to be Flame Tongue and Primal Fin, right?
So the masters have to be in the Thing from Below slots.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to
Very
be
strange.
It has to be copying the two totems. Those are the ones that really stand out to me. It seems a little obscure, and so I haven't played with it. I'm hoping, I guess the value of having a 3/3 turn 2 Primal Fin or Flame Tongue, turn 3 Taldaram it, the value of that has to be high enough that it's worth cutting Manatides and, well, what
And
else is in
Think
the
from
3-drop
Below.
slot?
Which is
Well, you could theoretically
it's
keep
actually
Think
just
from
it's
Below.
just Manatide at the 3-drop
Yeah,
slot actually. So that
So-
makes sense.
So the argument here is, if I think Cult Master is better in the deck than Manatide already was, it costs me nothing to play Taldaram. Does Taldaram say friendly minion?
Yeah. No, he can copy opponent's minions.
Okay, so
It's like a
that's,
face-
Like faceless.
so that's important, because you can
Right.
copy all sorts of other important stuff. You can get yourself a little Tyrion if you're playing against a paladin. You can get yourself, what else?
You could, if you're in a priest mirror or priest match, you can copy an Northshire cleric and let your healing totem draw a bunch of cards.
Go get an Acolyte. You can copy an Aya, which has to be really, really good, now that I think about it.
Yeah, that's good.
You can copy a South Sea Captain. Somebody else has a little South Sea Captain. You could get a Doomguard. You could get any number of things. It's specific, and the reason to play it is because you think it's better than any other 3-drop that you weren't going to include anyways.
I guess if
curious
you're
to see how it
playing-
goes.
I guess if you're playing Cult Master, then you might as well put it in.
Yeah. If there's no 3-drop, get a little faceless manipulator.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
But like,
I'm not sold that it's better than no 3-drops at all, but I also did not qualify for the HCT, and Biza did, so I assume there's some validity to playing it, and it's not just spice to get noticed. I'm curious, because copying opponents' minions might be valuable. I know that either of those 2-drop totems into Taldaram is going to be really, really strong, so I'm curious to see how it plays out and if the value is realized in-game, because this list is far enough off the beaten path that I'd like to see if the changes add value. If they do, that means we've been misbuilding Token Shaman for the entirety of the post-nerf meta, and that's an exciting concept.
Yeah, I wouldn't even brush off copying a doppelgangster, because if you get if that's only a 9 mana combination. That's doppelgangster, Taldaram, and then evolve and get 24 mana.
6 drops.
Yeah, 4 6-drops. That seems quite good. I think Taldaram is just like an opportunity card. Like, if you see an opportunity to copy something, copy it. Heck, even a Healing Tide totem is not that bad. Like 3/3 AoE heal. Okay, wouldn't be sad about that.
It's flexible.
Yeah.
It's just the ultimate flexibility card.
Ultimate flex card.
Flex.
So the other really interesting deck, and see now Biza's Shaman deck is still an evolved Shaman deck at its core, but Tom has something totally unique. It's Highlander Mage. It's almost every mage archetype, save Secret Mage, smushed together, because of course you have to have one of everything for the deck to function. So it has every element that you've ever seen from Burn Mage, Freeze Mage, and Control Mage, all smushed together. And in my examination of it, I believe at this moment that deck is actually favored to Highlander Priests, and it's probably very good against aggro. I mean, if you've ever played a Control Mage with an aggro deck, and you got froze, Jaina hit the board, and then add on to that like Inkmaster Solia in front of a Flame Strike, like, it's gonna be pretty powerful on the top end. And I think that Tom is onto something with this deck. What do you guys think?
I mean, Tom's a genius, so
He is.
what Tom does.
I full-heartedly believe that if these are successful, it's going to be the new hotness, and it'll affect people on ladder and playing. So,
yeah,
I would like to see them perform well with them.
I expect to see Highlander Mage on ladder next week without fail.
Yeah.
Hat, thoughts on Highlander Mage rather?
This deck looks fascinating, and it's
right.
I'm thinking back to the Reno Mage Reno Lock meta, where Reno Mage always beat Reno Lock because you had Ice Block and Burn spells and they didn't. So now there's no Pyroblast in this list. There is Alexstrasza, there's no Pyroblast. This looks extraordinarily difficult to pilot. It looks very nuanced. I believe that it beats Highlander Priest, again, because you're both basically Freeze Mage, except one of you has Ice Block and the other doesn't. I'm really curious to see how it performs. But it does have a decent high end, and having played against Frostlich Jaina, I think that card is a Druid ban away from being really, really powerful. Because the recurring life gain and kind of incremental snowball threat generation, it feels infuriating to play against, because you can never quite get your foot in the door and keep the game from moving in the direction of the mage once Jaina comes down. So I don't know. I believe that Tom has next leveled. I'm curious to see how it performs. He brought the other 3 correct classes.
Yeah, it's just that's his 4th deck, and he certainly believes that there is merit to it, and I think I agree. He's my pick for the whole thing.
It probably seems like a very flexible deck, depending on what you're playing against.
Yeah.
You can adapt really well with what your overall game plan is. So
right, and that's that's the power of these Highlander decks, right? That's why one of the reasons why Highlander Priest is so good, because sometimes it just seems to have the answer to everything, because it does. It runs one copy of everything that's good. And Tom is no stranger to this, because he qualified for this very championship with Highlander Warlock. So obviously he knows a thing or two about building these kind of decks. So I think this is going to make some waves. Other unusual lineups very quickly, just to get things moving. Omega Zero is running Aggro Druid, Tempo Rogue, and Mid-Range Hunter. He's the only hunter in the tournament. Now remember, everyone has Highlander Priest, so I'm just rattling off the other 3. Coco Sasa has Elemental Rogue and Aggro Paladin. Elemental Rogue is actually very good against aggro decks. Like Tempo Rogue is all right. Like it's like in the 52 to 55% range against aggro. Elemental Rogue is much stronger. So for all these folks that have taken that fourth deck as an aggro deck, that Elemental Rogue is going to be a serious problem for those decks, assuming it's not banned. And the Aggro Paladin, I love it. I talked about it earlier. It's a great deck. Amix has a full control lineup. He's bringing both Quest Warrior and Control Paladin. And Old Boy also has a full control set. He has Handlock and Control Warrior. So the European players on the control train for this event. So don't forget, this is going to be basically, if you're listening to this as a podcast, the championships are probably going on right now. So go to twitch.tv/playhearthstone and check it out.
Great. Anything upcoming?
That's the big one.
That's all right.
Well,
we're coming. Yeah, we're coming to the end of the road here, anyway. So, yeah. I just wanted to make sure if there was anything else we mentioned.
There's stuff ongoing. There's Trinity series is still ongoing. Collegiate Hearthstone, which chorus casting is still going on. So there's
Denver's coming up next weekend.
Yeah, there you go. What's the dates on that, Cora?
That would be the 20th through 22nd.
Okay, so yeah, we'll talk about that next week. But yeah, that's also coming down the pipe. Thank you.
All right. No, like I said earlier, no iTunes reviews, so we'll skip over that. If you have a chance to go leave a review, go do that, please.
Yeah.
I kind of talked amongst us individually separate from this, and I realized I have an iPhone, so at least there's been an update, and it's pretty hard to find us. If you just search Hearthstone, we're not there in the top 8, so I'm hoping if you leave reviews, that will change, or at least it will kind of change. We're thinking about maybe changing the title so it'll be more competitive Hearthstone.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're searching for competitive Hearthstone,
more visible.
Yeah, a little bit easier to see there. But yeah, so that's that. Shall we go into our deck explanations? I'm gonna give it the mic over to Hat here.
I'm Hat.
There he is.
Hi. So
what are we doing this week?
We are talking about one of the most difficult concepts to get exactly right, one of the most disagreed upon concepts, and one of the most interesting decision points in all of Hearthstone, the Mulligan. Yay! So, I want to talk about Mulligans real quick. It is unlikely that even the four of us will come to a consensus on this show. We will come to a close consensus on how to theorize, but specific Cinder and I have already talked about Zoo beforehand, and I could talk about Zoo all day. So we'll keep talking about Zoo. Zoo. But in addition, mulliganing is incredibly nuanced, incredibly difficult to figure out, but it is maybe the most important decision point you have in the game, because what happens when you start any game of Hearthstone? You mulligan. It's the first thing you do. It defines the entire game that's coming ahead of you. So we need to talk about it. And it could be talked about for a while. We asked in the cast and crew chat, is there any objection to talking about mulligans? And Cora said, we have to talk about it for less than 2 weeks. And Cinder said, it's too late. So
yeah, he's already started typing.
Yeah. So be aware.
2 weeks continuous.
Yeah. We could talk about this forever and not reach resolution. So be aware. This is a deceptively complex topic. I intend to pull on all the hosts here. We'll need all of our combined brain power to process this one, and expect a little bit of disagreement. But first, the most important question to ask yourself, and this is one it's a simple procedural thing. If you're not sure what to mulligan for, look at your deck list, or even better, look at your deck tracker. Look at the deck you're playing, and you should be tracking your stats if you want to improve. If you're playing on your phone, it is what it is. If you're playing casually, that's fine. But if you're listening to this segment and you're saying, how do I get better at this fundamental piece of the game? Use a deck tracker. Look at the deck and say, which of these cards do I want in my hand? I know this seems really, really simple. But so often, your cards will come up and you will make the decision of what you want based on the cards in front of you. Do I want that one? Well, that's a 1-drop, that's a 2-drop, this one is fine in this matchup. Maybe if you don't have a disciplined plan to mulligan, before you go into any game, it is unlikely that you get it right. So the most important thing, and if you can't answer what you want, how are you going to get it? That's not just Hearthstone, that's life. Right? You have to know what you want. So, figure out what you want. There might be matchup dependent changes, but most likely what you want is going to be based on a core group of cards. Now, it depends on the deck you're playing. I think the easiest to talk about first is your threat-dense aggro mulligan. We're talking about your Zoos, your mid-range hunters, your pirate warrior. You're looking for a curve, right? You can mulligan for... So let's say you're talking about Tempo Rogue. What's the best 1-drop? Swashbuckler, Firefly, or nothing because you went hunting for Keleseth? Well, I'll tell you what the worst one is. It's no 1-drop. Maybe you'll get Keleseth, maybe you won't. But if you have a Swashbuckler in your opening hand, almost always you're going to keep it. Unless you're Bodicus and you're a total Tempo Rogue god and you're against a hunter and you say he might go lock at me. But we'll get to that later. Most likely you're going to keep Swashbuckler. But if you have Firefly and you say, man, I really wish I had Swashbuckler instead, you keep the Firefly. First of all, it's still good enough, and you need a 1-drop, right? With Zoo, it's the same thing, and there are some nuances we'll get into a little bit later, but if you don't have a context-dependent 1-drop, you don't want to start turn 1 Atcherus Veteran. That's not the card you usually want to start the game with because it's meant to buff your other 1-drops. But if you got a Voidwalker or a Flame Imp or a Malkazar's Imp, are you going to mulligan one of those to look for the other ones? Almost certainly no. You're playing Hunter, Firefly versus Alley Cat. You got the Fly, you're keeping the Fly, you're not going to look for the Alley Cat. You want to curve out. Hitting your drops, your deck is designed to be redundant. It's meant to do that. So really, you want to tempo out and hit those drops on curve. Input so far, gang?
So far, so good.
So good.
I may hold my context dependent Zoo Mulligan commentary for later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Essentially, the deck suffers more when you miss those aggressive mulligans versus the benefit that they get when you get exactly the right 1-drop, right? You'd rather have one 1-drop than no 1-drop.
Yeah, and just to punctuate it, I'll say this: if you're in a mirror match against an aggressive deck, and they get their 1-drop and you don't, watch how quickly you lose that game.
Yeah,
a lot to vary.
Fast.
Yeah. So we'll call this the threat-dense mulligan, and the threat-dense aggressive tempo decks are the ones most likely to want a mulligan in this style, where you're not looking for specific cards, you're looking for a curve, you're looking for a sequence of play, and your deck is redundantly built to maximize that. I think Zooless now are running between 13 to 17 1-drops. So
it's a lot.
It's a lot. You'll probably hit one, and a lot of times Zoo wants to go 1-drop into double 1-drop. So you keep them. Now, this can get a little tricky because some 1-drops, they have a 1 in the corner, but they're deceptive. The example I'm going to use in Tempo Rogue is Southsea Deckhand. It's secretly a 3-drop, because if you're not playing with charge, the card is not very good. Same with turn 1 Atcherus Veteran. There are times when you need the 1-drop against classes that can't do 1 damage and can't punish you with Potion of Madness, whatever, but again, we're in generalities. If you're going first and your 1-drop is a Southsea Deckhand and you are the Tempo Rogue, you should probably mulligan it, because it does not really further your game plan in the way that you want it to, and it is likely to die and just pull the patches and not accomplish what you want, which is burst damage later in the game. Okay, so that's the threat-based mulligan. Now we're going to talk about the aggressive mulligan. This is not an aggro mulligan. It's an aggressive mulligan. Very important difference. There's got to be a better way to phrase this. But
where you're aggressively trying to look for something. It's not the style of deck. It's what you're doing with the mulligan.
How about the card-specific mulligan? Card-specific mulligan. All right. So, all right. Thank you, Han. Thank you all. So, if your deck has a win rate where there are a couple different ways to look at it. It's either where you need specific cards and your win rate goes way, way up. Not one specific card, by the way. I'm not talking about Barnes and Big Priest. I'm not talking about Keleseth and Tempo Rogue. It's a bad idea. Don't mulligan for one specific legendary. But in Razakis Priest, generally the meme is if you have 2 out of Razakis, Anduin, or Raza, Kazakis, and Anduin, if you have 2 of those 3, you probably win. If you have 3 of those 3, you definitely win. It's pretty typical to need to mulligan for all for those 3 cards. Throw back other stuff. It's your win rate is so much higher when you get one of those in the opener, or when you know you're going to get one, you only need to dig for the other one, that it's worth keeping. There are other examples of this. I think Jade Druid is actually a great example. And that's more mid-rangey than combo-y, but it's the same notion when you look at Wild Growth and Jade Blossom. It used to be Innervate as well, where you didn't do a lot early. So the faster you get out of the early game, which is based on these two cards, Wild Growth and Jade Blossom, the more likely it is you were going to win. So just go looking for those cards. You have Ultimate Infestation in your hand, you're not keeping that. At least you shouldn't. Spreading Plague in the opener, probably not a good idea. Mire Keeper, maybe. Nourish, maybe. Wild Growth, Jade Blossom, absolutely. So just go looking for those cards. Your game plan gets so much better with those, and every other card in your deck becomes live if you have them, that it's worth going to dig for them. Okay. Comments so far?
No, you're on a roll. It's good.
Yeah,
All right.
I think Jade Druid is an excellent example of that.
Yeah, looking for that ramp.
Yes. And when Easy Big, Easy Druid Easy was around as well, you were looking for cards that said the word Mana Crystal, and every other card you put back in your deck, right? Innervate, Rip, Wild Growth, Jade Blossom, and even Nourish and Mire Keeper. If it said Mana Crystal, you kept it. And if it didn't, you put it back in your deck. All right. So those are the most basic concepts. And they are still difficult to execute because discipline in the face of a card game where it presents you a new choice every time is hard. Now what do we talk about where you're making different choices on purpose? This is where people like Cora have jobs casting talking about this professionally. And there are questions upon questions about when do I keep this card? Which matchup? And I'm looking for this card in. With control decks, slower combo decks, or really anything other than a curve-based aggro deck, you are looking for different cards based on the matchup you're facing. Rizaka's Priest is a good example. Sometimes you have Andu in your opener, your opponent's a hunter, you say, well, I can't keep that, I'm going first. You look for Potion of Madness. You look for Shadow Word Pain. Against Rogue, I always keep Shadow Word Death, because otherwise, they have a big Edwin, what do? You lose. Go get the death. Right? And you're going to find a use for it later if they have a Cobalt Scalebane, you kill it on curve. They have a Bone Mary, kill it on curve, etc., etc. So sometimes you need to keep those specific cards. And some classes have reactive mulligans in every matchup. A deck like Control Paladin, which is decidedly tier 2 in this meta, underrepresented we think, but still not a tier 1 deck. This is a class where you don't have a peak power level of cards. Your deck is good because it is an average power level is pretty decent, and instead of proactive cards like Zoo, it's all reactive cards. And so you can't keep a reactive card that's the same for every situation. So sometimes you go get the Doomsayer. Other times you say, well, I want early drops, I want Hydrologist, I want Rallying Blade. Other times you say, I need a board clear, I need Consecration, I need Pyro Equality. Sometimes you go look for life gain, sometimes you look for card advantage with Curator. It can get dizzying. And these decks are the ones that are very difficult to pilot. I can say for sure, if I'm playing Tom 60229's Highlander Mage, I have no idea what to mulligan for. Right? I know I put the secrets back in the deck because I want to draw them with Arcanologist. I know I keep Arcanologist. Beyond that, no idea. And a lot of mulligans are non-intuitive. I think back to Quest Rogue, one of my favorite examples of this, in that in the aggressive matchups, you kept Deckhand, you kept Backstab, of course, but you would keep the early aggressive drops, because you were looking to combo with Firefly and Flame Elemental to be as fast as possible. So you would keep Deckhand against Pirate Warrior to trade, right? Turn 1, Deckhand to trade into their Nazas first mate. Really unusual, not something that you would think of when you first play the deck. When I think back to Burn Mage, you would mulligan Primordial Glyph because you wanted the proactive threats early on. Mana Worm, into Arcanologist, into the Secret, or Arcane Intellect. You wanted something else, but Primordial Glyph, powerful card, didn't do a lot early on in the game. So when you have these decks where you need to kind of vary your plan based on what you're playing against, this is where real skill and experience in particular comes in. Cora, what have you seen on the HCT? What's your perspective as a caster talking about this incredibly complex topic?
It is something that even the best professional players disagree on and will always disagree on, right? Like these varying mulligans are so minute factor dependent that I don't think that there will ever be a decisive what is the correct thing to do. Generally, you'll get groups of people who agree on these things, and then they just agree to sort of play that way. And, you can test if I mulligan this way versus I mulligan this way in this matchup. I'm going to try each of these 50 times and see which one gives me a higher win rate. Then you can sort of gauge the validity of either of those mulligan strategies. But there's still going to be, players who swear by another one. So it really just comes down to personal experience, and so much just trying it out, man. Try out everything. Try mulliganing aggressively for different cards and different matchups to find out, oh, this doesn't work. I just shot myself in the foot and I'm going to lose the game now because of it. But you need to make those mistakes to learn. And man, it's so freaking hard. There are some decks, of course, where it's easier. Like Hat was saying, with Jade Druid, against Pirate Warrior, you need to aggressively mulligan for like Wrath and Mind Control deck if you've got it. But in a Jade Druid mirror, you're going to need to find your ramp. You're going to need to find Nourish, Wild Growth, Jade Blossom, Innervate. Otherwise, your opponent will just get it first and beat you. There are some matchups where one single card will win you the game, like, Highlander Priest Mirror, when you need a Raza and Shadow Reaper Anduin. Otherwise, if your opponent gets it first, you will lose. And there are other ways to win those matchups, for sure. There are extenuating circumstances that you will win those matchups without ever finding those cards. But more often than not, those strategies are going to be the ones that you will want to take. It's just very difficult for people to agree 100% on what the strategies are. So, yeah, instead of saying exactly what is correct, we tend to just try to understand the mindset of the players, and why did they mulligan this? What are they going for? Why did they take this strategy instead of the other one? Instead of saying that's wrong, that's dumb, they shouldn't have done that, we try to get in their head and just understand what they're doing, I guess, because even we don't know.
Yeah, it's really tough, and that's the point I was going to make. Is I know that had started this discussion with this could be discussed for a very, very long, extended period of time. If you just look at professional players when they play, you'll notice the mulligan is the longest part. And this is probably the point where you casters have so much time to fill as far as what they're talking, what they're thinking, what they're doing.
Wow,
so if for professional players, if it's taking them that long to think about the mulligan, this is a very in-depth concept that we can talk about for a long time. Sorry, I'll add more, but go ahead.
It's so much so that the best professional players in the mulligan would try to play mulligan chicken, where they wouldn't mulligan until they see exactly what their opponent mulligans. If your opponent full keeps, then in that situation, I probably need to mulligan everything because they've got the perfect curve. And if I don't get my perfect curve, then I'm not going to be able to win the game. It's so mind gamey that they changed it so that you don't see the mulligan, or they changed the way that the mulligan works, so you don't just see it when they do it, but that you see it afterwards, so you can tell how many they kept, but so you can't react with your own mulligan to their mulligan. It's these little freaking things, but to the professional players, it makes all the difference. And it's they just take it to the absolute next level. It's insane.
Yeah, the other part I was going to mention too with the mulligan, if you're a newer player and you don't know, I wouldn't suggest those, the third style of mulligan that we brought up here, where you're wanting to mulligan for what you're playing against. Those are then to be the hardest to mulligan for. Yeah. If you have a deck that, the second option where we have Jade Druid, you're looking for very specific cards. You know what the mulligan is every time. Your game plan, no matter what. Those tend to be easier for newer players to pick up to play. So that could be a strategy you can be going for with your mulligan, picking the style of deck that you're going to play to make it easier for you to consistently win. If you're picking the Highlander decks and you're having trouble, well, unfortunately, some of your learning of the mulligan is going to be experience. So, strap in. It's for the long haul. You're going to start learning by experience. You can learn by watching casters talk about it in tournaments. So that's another thing you can think about. Forums, discussions on Mulligan. There's lots out there to go over. And if you know someone who's really good at a specific deck, or if you know that one of us as coaches, if we're good with a certain type of deck, like aggressive decks versus control, pick those type coaches, because we're going to know generally what to mulligan for, what to do. Like that was part of my coaching with StarCraft 2 Forever. He never played aggro before, so he chose me to help him with that, and I think I opened up his eyes as far as what we're doing as a Zulak player. So that's another thing. Try and pull information from people that are experienced with those type of decks. I'll end my soapbox there.
And I'm gonna add a couple of examples to the variable mulligan discussion, because we did talk about it being primarily for control and combo, but this can be for quite a number of matchups, including aggro matchups or other matchups. I mean, coaching Esperoth some months ago, she wanted to figure out Silence Priest, and everybody knows I love Priest. It's one of my top 3 classes. And one of the things that I taught her was how to mulligan with it, because it's super important. It's a combo deck, but it's not an in-game combo deck. It's like an upfront combo deck. Like sometimes you want all your pieces right away. And so, one of the things we did was, okay, let's identify the deck that we're playing against. Okay, this is probably an aggro deck, so you want your defensive tools. Go get like your Shadow Word Pain if you're running it. Get your Potion of Madness. That's the stuff you want. Then when we went up against what was probably a control deck, like it's against the Priests, said, okay, now you want the opposite. Now you want your Ancient Watcher. Now you want your Humongous Razor Leaf, because you want to get them on the board and get them ready to go as soon as you get your combo pieces. Yeah. So it was an entirely different mulligan strategy depending on the opponent. And this happened very recently for myself in THL and Team Hearth League. I had a Murloc Paladin Mirror. And in my opening hand, I was offered a Righteous Protector, a Murloc War Leader, and something else. And I was on the coin. And I threw away the Righteous Protector and whatever the second card was, kept the War Leader. My teammates questioned that decision. They said, why did you do that? That's a 1-drop. You're an aggressive deck. Don't you want a 1-drop? And I said, no, you don't. It's not exactly that. Because the way you lose this mirror match is by getting pushed off the board by Murlocs getting buffed. You have to assume that they're going to be in their best case scenario. They're going to play Vilefin Inquisitor as a 1/3, and then follow it up on turn 2 with a Rockpool Hunter to make it a 2/4. And that 1/1 bubble Righteous Protector is just going to get bumped off the board. The only way you could possibly contest that opening is if you also get your Vilefin Inquisitor and then coin out the War Leader to make it a 3/3, and then bump off their 2/3 or their 2/4 that they just played. So I didn't get that, and of course I just completely got snowballed off the board. But we ended up disagreeing about that. They were insistent that no, you just need a 1-drop. But I disagree. I think there are going to be matchups where you want specific things to counter specific openings. We actually had this conversation beforehand about Zoo. I think that the secret to Zoo is getting the correct 1-drop, not just any 1-drop, but the right one for the matchup. So I think that the more you know about the game, the more nuanced Mulligan gets, and these variable Mulligans can get very, very specific. So this is one of the deepest parts of the game, as we said. So this is something to spend a lot of time on if you're not already thinking about it.
And it's the first thing you do every game of Hearthstone. So if you're not thinking about it, please start thinking about it. It's affecting your win rate. It's, and they can keep talking about Cinder's example, because I would have said throw back the War Leader, go keep the Protector, look for Rallying Blade, right?
There you go.
There are so many options to explore. I'm thinking back, I can't remember the exact match, but it was a Dragon Warrior mirror. This was a few HCTs ago, and one of the players won. I think it was Frozen. He won because he kept the Curator in the opener, just because the card advantage that he knew he was forecasting needing on turn 7, the body and drawing 3 cards was important enough to keep the 7-drop in his opener in a super tempo-based matchup. Like these sort of things, you can't learn without playing the decks, and you can't learn without thinking about it and figuring out. Maybe this is the most important thing to take away from this. Think about what you mulligan, keep track of what you keep and what you don't, and then see how it works. If you keep Nourish in the Druid matchup, and then you die with Nourish in hand, you probably shouldn't have kept it. Make sure you adjust your mulligan strategy in the future. If you keep Righteous Protector, because your teammates tell you to, even though you think they're dumb, and then you win the game because you had the Righteous Protector, maybe adapt your thinking. Now, that didn't happen in this particular case. I don't think Cinder or his teammates are dumb. But it's important to note that if you say, let's try this, and then don't keep track of the results, what was the point of trying it?
Yeah.
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 And
again, I think that one of the best examples is I've just been playing a lot of Jade Druid. I've been casting a lot of Jade Druid. Jade Druid mirrors, you are perfectly allowed to keep a 10 mana card in your opening hand. You can keep Ultimate Infestation in your opening mulligan. If you have Coin or if you have Wild Growth, if you have what you think is a decent curve and you've got Ultimate Infestation, just know that the person that plays Ultimate Infestation first in the Jade Druid mirror has a colossal chance to win that game. You can keep cards that you don't think that you should keep in certain matchups because they are so effective in those matchups. And those are the mulligans that are so much more difficult to learn. But once you get past the understanding of your deck and understanding the basic mulligan, you'll start to learn those specific mulligans, and they will help you so much. They will improve your gameplay so much.
So if you have like what's the turn 2 ramp and then the turn 3 ramp and then the turn 5 ramp.
Like if you got just like
would be
Wild Growth and Nourish in hand, you can keep Ultimate Infestation. 100%.
Oh yeah, that's basically the perfect hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That hand only would get better with old double Innervate, but
which is quite funny because this week's brawl, which is you pick one of 10 cards. And then you discover each one every turn. I was like, I'm playing Jade Druid because I'm gonna go second. I'm gonna guarantee Wild Growth into Jade Blossom, into Nourish, into an Innervate, into Ultimate Infestation, and my opponent's gonna concede. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, that deck is too slow in this Tavern Brawl. The correct play in this Tavern Brawl is to play Divine Spirit Inner Fire Priest with Radiant Elemental, because when you draw cards, you get a 1-mana spell that says discover a card in your deck, and if you have Radiant Elemental out, that costs 0. So, just kill on turn 4.
That is gross.
Yeah, Zalay came up with it. I can't take credit for it, but it was disgusting. So yeah, we could talk about this topic for at least 2 consecutive weeks. But I think the most important thing to note here is keep track of what you're doing, have a general strategy, and then learn from what you do. Which is also, again, that's not just Hearthstone, that's life.
It is life. And sometimes you can have the perfect hand and still lose. And that's just Hearthstone.
Yeah.
It's just life.
Man. Life lessons on Concede.
So we try to keep that short for you guys, at least for this week. So
that's funny.
Well, it was a good one. It's so important to talk about.
Yeah. But, I'm not sure what I'm going to do for Dexplanations next week. I might just take a mulligan and talk about this one again.
Someone please send us a Deck Doctor segment to keep Hat off this train, please.
God, he's good. He's good.
Now, if we want to talk about measuring cause and effect in practice till you get perfect, puns are... I have mulliganed many a pun. And the problem
it's all about the delivery.
I've kept a few puns that I should have mulliganed. Yeah.
Shall we move on then?
Yes, Kenny, please.
I think we're good. All right. So you can write into us at coinconcede@gmail.com if you want those Deck Doctors entered here. That would be used specifically for those 25 and up patrons. So if you're listening, you still have the option to do it. We haven't had any because we haven't been taking advantage, so we haven't been doing it. But if you'd like to, get on it. Well, I'll see if I can remind you too as well outside of this. But yeah, I'll go over the thank yous this week. So Stefan L, thank you for letting us use your cover for the intro and outro here. If you'd like to see our blog posts or Stefan's YouTube channel, you can go to Concede.com and check it out in the show notes. You can follow us on Twitter at CoinConcede. I already mentioned our email, but Facebook.com/CoinConcede. There's still people adding that. I just updated. You're more than welcome to have conversations there. No, nobody really hasn't started any, but those are updates for when we post the show too. Discord.coinconcede.com for our community talks, for anything.
So many.
Anything.
So many.
Yeah, we've added extra channels. Literally anything.
They are chatty Cathy's.
That you can't fit all the channels on the screen anymore, and people use them. They use them all, every channel.
Yeah.
As soon as I wake up, I look at the Discord, white dots all the way up.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yep. We made a food channel because the old food channel was named General Chat.
General.
Yeah. So we cordoned all the food. It still spills over when someone is hungry, so all the time. But yeah, I didn't expect it to be like. It has surpassed even my wildest expectations, and it is self-sustaining at this point. This is not buoyed by us talking. It's everybody.
There's some good food in this food channel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Y'all see my
yeah.
sliders I made today? What's up?
Cinder, those look so good.
They were so good. They were White Castle. That was basically White Castle burgers. They were really good.
Do you have White Castle up by you?
We used to. Now we have a Crystal. That's kind of the same thing.
It's
Gotcha.
Those look like White Castle burgers, except they didn't induce vomiting. So, props to you.
And we did add a BlizzCon channel, so if you're wanting to meet up with us, we can schedule stuff there. So anything there, you can go chat and join us. We're still getting people every day. We get notifications, but yeah.
Crazy.
To continue on here, we have shop.coinconcede.com for when we get the new shirts uploaded here. I think we're in the clear going forward as far as continuing with that, right, Cinder?
Yeah, we had to. I just had another hurricane scare. My goodness.
I know,
what's going
right?
on? It's the middle of October. Stop it. Just stop. Go home. Tropics. You're drunk. It's still 90 degrees down here. What is going on? But
yeah, it's still very warm up here too.
yeah, well, I also did. We did have a little design project for Con Before the Storm. I don't know if we're going to be able to pull it off, but yeah, we'll get back on the shop thing real soon.
Yep. And big thanks to our producers, Variatus, Psych Machpo, Reganis Prime, and Calum CV. Thank you all for being our supporters. Some of you are taking a short break, but said they'll be back. So looking forward to seeing you guys. I've been enjoying time with Reganis Prime in Wild. It's nice to have someone else to enjoy the Wild games and kind of throw ideas off of each other. So I enjoy him a lot. Shall we go over our shoutouts? I'll save mine for. Let's start with Cindy. Cindy.
Sandy. I can be Cindy.
Cindy.
I'm not afraid.
Cindy and Gypsy.
Give me a dress and a pair of sensible pumps, and I'll be Cindy. I'm fine with this. My shout out this week is to Dwyna and Fly Us Lie. They held down the Friday Night Fights casting for Team Hearth League. Thanks you two. Of course, they are also ladder gods in their own right. So it was really great to have them step in. I've casted Dwyna's matches before. They were a lot of fun. And I heard the cast was quite meme-tastic. So thanks, guys.
All right. And Hat, what about you?
I've got 3 shout-outs this week. First of all, to my upstairs neighbor. I was on the way home from work today. I am on my 3rd day of compound sleep deprivation. She woke me up from my stop and held the door because I realized I'd forgotten my phone as soon as I stood up in a huff. So, thank you, Karen. You're great. Big props to Bruised Elbow. He was my first coaching session scheduled when I got back from my trip. I had to reschedule the first night. He had to reschedule tonight. Props for flexibility and for being a generally good dude. And props to Midgame because he sent me Australian biscuits. When I say biscuits,
sent all of us.
When I say biscuits, I mean
Yes.
if you're American, you're thinking cookies, right? And I'm gonna hold them up here if you're watching. So these are Arnott's crowns. They are caramel and chocolate. They are incredible.
Oh man,
and then I've got
so good.
I've got some Tim Tams. These are double chocolate Tim Tams. If you have not done a Tim Tam slam, look it up. Do it. Life is great. So big thanks to Midgame for the transatlantic biscuits.
I also had some. I got some dark chocolate Tim Tams, and they're gone. Thanks, man. I ate them one a day, just to
Gotta ration them.
Make it last.
Ration it out.
There's not a ton of them in a package.
But they are now gone, and they were delicious. Thank you so much.
So good.
Yeah, it's been a
We
good
all got
time
some and
here
enjoyed it all.
in the hat household, and the envelope did say Mr. Ridiculous Hat, which I chortled at mightily.
Yeah.
It's a ridiculous hat.
That was KCCO. Yep. Very enjoyable. I appreciate it. Cora, go over your shout out here real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So my shout out this week goes to Dr. Jikaninki because I got to cast with him on Tespa Monday and Tuesday. If you didn't get a chance to watch, I encourage you to go check out the VODs. Tespa is always a really, really fun cast, a lot more relaxed than HCT, and the players they're just so much fun. We always get to interview them at the end of the matches, and they are so happy, so excited, so generally just good people. And really good players that don't get enough credit for how talented they really are. So we had Noblord on stream this past week, who was the reigning champion with Rutgers University. We had Icer, who was a top 8 at DreamHack Atlanta.
The
Ninja was on. Yes, the Ninja's team ended up winning. There are so many good players. So absolutely go check it out. Yes, his drawing talent was fantastic. We had some questions that we took, and Dr. J got to draw whatever a Jikaninki is. And make sure you check it out next week, because if you tweet at Team Tespa, you can have a chance to win that Dollar on Flame card back, which is really expensive if you want to buy it. So don't buy it.
Win it.
Win it.
Tweet at Team Tespa during the cast.
Yeah. Think of some good questions.
I need to do that.
Yeah. It's super unfair that Noblord is on the Tespa circuit, because that guy is so good at Hearthstone.
He just steals wins from others. We didn't want to make it seem like it was Noblord and friends, but it was pretty much Noblord and friends.
Yeah.
He's so incredibly good at Hearthstone. And also Noblord, I think we talked about it last week, but if you haven't read his article on the Hearthstone competitive circuit on Reddit, go read it. It is incredibly well thought out, incredibly detailed, and this guy's in college. I don't know.
Right?
Yeah, he's starting to get the respect that he deserves.
I was not this smart at 19 or 20.
Yeah.
No,
I'm not that smart now.
I was an idiot. No. Still not.
You're not supposed to agree with me, Cinder.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, just because I'm also... I am the senior podcaster here, so...
Yeah.
I'm still not that smart as Noblord, so, I mean, I feel you.
Yeah.
All right. So your shout out for mid game again. Thank you, mid game, for your unfortunately they came a little melted, but hey, I made it work. Yeah.
They taste the same. Also, mid game quick thing. I can get them at the Maya right next to my house, so no worries.
I mean, Kenny, California is kind of on fire right now, so you're surprised they even got in the packaging still. Yeah.
Yeah. On fire. I also got something else in the mail today from Esperanth. She sent me some jelly babies. So these things are delicious.
Those look good.
So she sent those. I wanted to share what she mentioned here. So she gave me a little card with instructions on how to eat them. So she said the correct way to eat a jelly baby. Number 1, select your victim jelly baby. 2, bite off its head. 3, laugh evilly. 4, eat the rest of the jelly baby. Bonus points for arms, feet, etc. So
what do they look like?
They look like.
Do they look like babies?
Yes, they look like little plump babies. They're about this big, and they're actually pretty soft after you. It's like in a coat of sugar, I guess. Sort
of gummy bear-ish.
Yeah, it's got like an outer shell of kind of, but it's not gummy bearish. It's really soft and melts in your mouth after you eat it. It's kind of, yeah, it's
so
really
weird.
good. Yeah. So I'll be sharing some with Hat if they make it to BlizzCon.
I asked her to send me my own package of jelly babies because I'm not trusting anyone to hoard those for a long period of time. She said she didn't trust herself keeping them in the house. So I'm hoping that my own shipment of small edible infants arrives at my house soon. We'll see what happens.
Oh my gosh.
It's pretty nice. It's really sweet of her to do that. So thank you and shout out to you. And my other shout out was Danny Donuts. I actually played him on ladder like 3 times.
Oh wow!
In a row. Yeah. just going back for he was playing a Zulok type deck. I think I played Highlander for 2 games, and then I switched to Big Easy Priest. Played someone else, and then I would switch back to Highlander. I was like, I'll just go back to Highlander, and then he queued up again. So props to him for letting me add him after the second game, because we were talking for a little bit. But yeah, good.
I think that's the second randomly matched podcaster versus podcaster from this show, because I remember being randomly paired against Watchmen, like in rank 5, and he started chatting me in game, and I'm like, why is he chatting me so much? And then I looked up and saw the username. I'm like, oh, hey, look at that. Hey, Grant. So that's 2. Now you guys need to catch up.
No, I played against one.
Oh?
Last week. I can't remember who it was. Crap.
It's not indicative for the person she played against. I mean, she.
I don't remember if I won or lost. It was on stream. I can't remember who it was. I'm gonna have to go back and find out.
I lost handily the first game, and I was like, wow. He had Kelliseth out and just Rompel stopped me the first game. I end up beating him the next 2, but
around the hearth.
That's
okay.
I played against Robobson.
Oh
yeah.
Oh, that's right. He told me about that because he's my THL teammate, and he was like, "I'm playing Korra." I'm like, "Oh, hey, look at that."
Yeah.
All right, Hat, you're the last one, man.
For what?
To be randomly paired against another podcaster on ladder.
Oh yeah. Well, I played against Robobson in THL last week.
No. Randomly paired in ranked mode.
Okay. Well, I'll try and do that in my stream now. Every podcaster hovering around rank 7, you need to get on and play within the next 2 hours, so I have the highest chance of playing against you.
So please counter queue and stream snipe Ridiculous Hat. Is what
No, sniper, no sniping. Cora, I see you. Fun. No sniping.
I was afraid.
Cora the Explorer for nothing.
Yes.
Yeah, I recognized him right away, and I added him, and I was like, he's not gonna add me because he just completely beat me outright, and he's probably thinking I'm gonna, go QQ into him. But no, he was a good gentleman, and we were talking for a little bit. So first time I've actually really talked with him outside. I haven't had a chance to do it on. I added on Twitter after the fact too. So good guy, good crew over there at Well Met. All right, so that pretty much does it for our shout outs. So Cora, where can people find you?
You guys can always follow me on Twitter at songbird_HS. Follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/songbird_Cora. I actually streamed earlier today. Played Hearthstone for a couple hours, and then I did some Pokemon TCG as well. That was really fun. So if you ever wanted to learn that game, come on in. I can help you guys get a foothold in there as well. The more CCGs, the merrier. And then I will be casting DreamHack Denver, which will be twitch.tv/DreamHack Hearthstone, I believe. That will be next weekend, so the 20th through the 22nd. And it will be all day, every day those days. So, and if you're going to DreamHack Denver, hit me up on Twitter. I would love to meet you.
Sure. You want to promote your brother too?
Yeah. So Sir Slim, he's on Twitter at SirSlimHS. Also, if you hit him up on Twitter, he probably won't see it, so I'm gonna have to go check his Twitter. But he's coaching this month, so he, I think, had his first coaching tonight, and he was like really nervous for it. So hopefully it went well. Yeah, he was practicing. He did fine. He was practicing Raza Priest earlier today. He's like, I have my coaching tonight, and I should probably know what I'm talking about, so I should probably learn this deck. So I'll have to go talk to him after this and see if it went well. But yeah, follow him at SirSlimHS. He'll also be competing at DreamHack Denver, so if you wanted to meet him, he'll be there.
All right. And Ridiculous Hat, what about you?
Hi, that's me. I want to point out that Craptasm in the chat was the coaching recipient and said that Slim did a good job.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yes.
He said great.
He said great, yes.
Great.
I was summarizing and taking dramatic license, but yes. He received positive feedback. The language specifics are not super important, but Craptasm is here and happy, so,
Okay, that's fantastic then.
Yes.
That's a good sign.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. And you can find me on Twitter at Ridiculous Hat. On Twitch, twitch.tv/ridiculoushat. I stream Mondays and Thursdays, and since tonight is a Thursday, if you are watching live, I will be going live in about 30 minutes, so feel free to jump in. I'm going to be playing only Priest, so if you don't like Priest, come hang out anyways, but know that we're going to be playing Priest. Yes.
Get to 5. All right. And I'm going to jump here and kind of give Bodicus a little prompt here. So you can follow him on Twitter, which is at BodicusHS. He's Bodicus, Botticus, on Twitch. So go find him there. He's on Discord quite a bit too. Very helpful. Great coach. Awesome person. All right. Cinder.
Twitter at Cinder Ascendant. Twitch.tv/Cinder Ascendant. I had to go to the bank this week, so I haven't had a lot of lunchstone, but it's been super productive. Like, I actually went undefeated today at lunch. It feels real good. I like Zoo. Zoo's good.
It feels so good to life tap again. It's been a really long time, but all I've wanted for like 6 months now is just like 1 drop, double 1 drop, life tap 1 drop. That's all I want.
Oh, let me also note, I do have some regulars that pop into to Lunchstone. I know Drunken Monk, Madi, a few others. If you do drop in, Hat has dropped in. If you do drop in, understand that it is extremely difficult to chat on my mobile client. So feel free to chat and say things and comment. And I am reading it. It does come up on my screen, but it's very, very hard to type it back. So yeah, just participate, be there, be present. I appreciate it.
You should get an external monitor and keyboard for your phone.
You still have to like switch windows and stuff to do the chat, so it's probably still not practical.
It's a little bit involved.
Yeah.
At that point, it's like, why don't you just get a computer?
Yeah, just have a computer at your at your work, and
then I would be in violation of company policy, and I would lose my job. So
I would be. I'm the same way.
Worth it. I have right.
I have a paperless environment too, so I know exactly. Like, we can't have our phones or anything. Not that we get reception anyway, but yeah. So understand what you're saying. I'm thinking I'll talk to you about this later, Cinder. All right. You can find me on Twitter at KCCO_gamer and on Discord. I just cleared and did the purge with my friends again. So if I deleted you, contact me again. I'll add you. I just either, number one, we don't talk very much. Number two, I don't know who you are and don't have a note written. So let me know who you are so I can write a note. If I don't do anything, remind me, hey, you should probably write a note of who I am so you don't delete me again. So yeah, I'm hoping they add more people, because now with the client open on the app, man, it's going to be tough to.
Yeah, I hit my max for the first time a couple of days ago. It was actually when I was playing against Robobson. I tried to add him and I couldn't figure out why it wouldn't let me. And then it took me like a few minutes to realize I was at 200. I had to go through and purge people. It's never happened to me before. It was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you that if you ever want to hit 200 people on your friends list way too quickly, run a Hearthstone League, and then that space will just empty out immediately.
Yeah.
Cast that league.
Yeah.
And your friends list will fill up very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Because you have to spectate everybody.
Yeah. It gets.
Or if you need to fill it up, go to our Discord, and we have a place where you can add people there.
That is probably the most effective method right there.
Yep.
There you go.
And Kenny, please make a note. Don't delete me. I do a podcast with you.
All right.
Yes.
Done.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think you're a favorite, actually.
Aw.
Yeah.
I'm the favorite.
Well, you're not the favorite. I mean, I have favorites, multiple.
Don't take this from me, Kenny.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll tell you, you're not a jelly baby. I won't bite your head off, and then.
I hope there's a range of. Is there a range of affection between I won't decapitate you with my teeth and you're my favorite? I assume there's something in the middle there.
I think it's called disinterest. I don't know.
Today we learned that Kenny is actually a praying mantis.
All right, so we're going off the deep end here. Let's end the show. I'm going to say keep calm and chime on, and if you see us on ladder, coin concede.
Coin concede.
Coin concede.
Coin concede.
Take your victory.
You win. I can rest now. You win. For now. Now, your victory proves nothing.
The day is yours.
I choose death.
You have triumphed.
This time, this hunt is yours.